So yeah, the first incident I want to show you guys, it went viral online, so a lot of you probably saw it. It's from 2019, May 28th. It was about 6 a.m. I remember my mentor teacher when I lived in Jeju, and it was a safe neighborhood. It was nothing like that, but she told me that since I live alone, she gave me the tip that I should put men's shoes outside of my apartment, so some potential future trespasser or stalker would think that I live with a man and not even try to come in. What's up, idols? It's Cece Lesson 3. Welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I wanted to talk about something that's a little bit more serious, and that is stalking in South Korea. Now this video in particular is for the women out there, every woman who wants to work in Korea because you'll typically live alone, everyone who wants to visit Korea because you're not too familiar with how things work, the laws, the rules, all that good stuff. Anything that's gonna bring you to Korea as a female, especially if you go by yourself. So full disclaimer, we know that stalking is a worldwide issue. It's not unique to Korea, so I don't need y'all to hop in the comments like, well, if you don't like it here, then go somewhere else, or stalking is everywhere. I know that, but the difference is different countries handle stalking differently based on the laws that they have, police action, things that you're allowed to do to protect yourself, and it's a bit lax in South Korea. But I will say, I was hopeful later last year because in October, they finally passed their first ever anti-stalking law in South Korea, because I wish I was lying. Before this law went into act, the only real penalty that a stalker or someone accused of stalking ever faced was a fine of no more than 100,000 won. That's like 80 bucks USD. So now there are finally actual proper consequences. For example, you can face like 3 years in prison, a fine of like 25 million won. I want to read this verbatim so I don't mess it up. So the new law states that if you approach, follow, block against his or her will, wait for them, observe them, wait in or around their residence, workplace, school, send unwelcome messages, images, video through mail, telephone, or through networks, causing anxiety, fear by destroying objects placed in around their residence, is all considered stalking. Don't even target their friends or family or people around them. So that was hopeful, right? I was pretty hopeful that after this law went into effect, things would kind of calm down a little bit and maybe potential stalkers would think twice before they do the stalking. Because unfortunately, I don't know a single female who's been in Korea who hasn't been followed at least once. Now, it doesn't always progress to stalking, obviously, but you're walking through an alley, you're walking home at night, you're going for a walk, you're going for a jog or a run, and then a guy walks up to you and wants to spark conversation. And typically when you politely refuse, they just, okay, bye. But sometimes it does escalate to more than that. Like in this video, I'm gonna show you guys some clips of a man who followed a woman home after she was out, I'm assuming clubbing, drinking, whatever she was doing, living her life like she should. He waited for her, like he tried to rush into her apartment. So I'm gonna show that later in this video. Also, there were 2 incidences past October of last year where the police have kind of let us down a little bit. So that's what this video is going to be about, just to let you guys know to be on your toes, be vigilant. And even though Korea is like one of the safest countries, you still can't let your guard down completely. Personally, I will never understand the point of putting so much energy and thought towards someone who doesn't want you. Why waste your energy on someone who is not interested? Wouldn't it be a lot more confidence boosting or ego boosting to look at a person knowing that they want you just as bad as you want them? I don't know if this feeds into their delusion and the entitlement. I'm not sure what it is, but just take the L, learn your lesson and move on from it. There's no point in stalking and trying to get revenge and forcing them to be with you. I don't understand, but I digress. So yeah, the first incident I want to show you guys, it went viral online, so a lot of you probably saw it. It's from 2019, May 28th, and it makes you really happy that a lot of the doors in South Korea, they lock automatically when they're closed, because that probably saved this girl. So this dude hung around her residence, tried to rush the door when she came in. He got in the elevator with her and he pressed a higher floor to make it look like she was getting off on a higher floor. He stayed there for like 10 minutes and even used his phone light to try and make out her fingerprints on her keypad until he realized he was being filmed, and then he left. And according to the witness, he threatened her saying, if you don't let me in, I'm gonna break your door down. He later turned himself in the next day, but he claims he was drunk and doesn't remember doing anything. After being released after paying a measly fine, the public was outraged and an arrest warrant went out for him because they consider him to be high risk to do this again, because he was fined in 2012 of harassing a woman on the street. And I actually don't know what happened to this guy. I tried to find out if he actually faced any jail time or if he's locked up, or I don't know what happened to him. So if you guys know, literally his identity hasn't been public, and that's another thing that kind of drives me crazy. with situations like this. Only when the police choose to release the accused's identity does it ever become public domain, public knowledge. So he's just going by his surname of Joe. That's all we know about him. If you guys know anything, please let me know in the comments, because I could not find anything about what happened to this dude. But yeah, the main reason I wanted to bring up this video, there was a horrible stalking incident that a lot of people believe finally put the fuel to this law being a thing. I'm not sure how many of you've heard about this, but it was kind of a big deal last year. It was in March of 2021, and Kim Tae-hyun was a stalker who found a girl. They knew each other through online gaming, and then he proceeded to stalk her after she cut off communication with him. Obviously, he made her uncomfortable. She didn't want to talk to him anymore, which every girl has that right. So he didn't like that, and he decided to go dress up as a delivery person, go to her home, and he barged in the house. Her little sister answered, and he killed her. Then he waited at the apartment until the mom came home, her, and then when his victim came home, he killed her as well. Another disturbing bit of this is he waited in that home with their bodies for a few days, eating their food, sleeping there, living there, until the police finally came and arrested him. So the reason I bring this up today, at the time of filming this, January 20th, 2022, yesterday the judge decided to uphold his life sentencing because prosecution wanted the. Because the thing is, in South Korea, when you get life, that's only like 10 years, something like that, I believe, and you have the possibility of parole. Keep in mind, this Kim Tae-hyun was only 26, so 10 years is nothing for him. And if he can get parole on top of that, he'll be out in the streets around people again, and that's not okay. So the prosecution's like, fine, if you guys want to give him life, please at least deny him the possibility of parole, but they don't have that authority right now, so we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens over the next decade or so. So just to make sure I get this right, I'm reading my notes. If you see me looking down, I'm like reading my notes. So Kim Tae-hyun was convicted of theft, breaking and entering, misusing communications networks, and given all of that, he took 3 lives and he might still be able to get parole. That just got ruled to be final yesterday, so that kind of made me want to talk about this more. And I was pretty hopeful. Oh my God, Korea finally introduced an anti-stalking law, so I thought things would get a lot better. This law went into effect October 21st, 2021. Yet somehow in November of 2021, there was a incident. 35-year-old Kim Byung-chan decided to end the life of his ex-girlfriend. He went to her apartment in Daegu while she was under police custody, because under this whole new anti-stalking law, she went to the police, let them know what was going on, and they were supposed to protect her. But somehow he was able to get into her apartment and end her life. And the police dropped the ball not once but twice, because this happened again in December of 2021. 25-year-old Lee Seok-jun did the same thing in Seoul, except this time he killed his ex-girlfriend's mother and critically injured her little brother. She was also under police protection. So after the police had to deal with major backlash and whoopsies and slip-ups on their part, they decided to make a new amendment to this law where they're gonna have like a 3-level or 3-tier risk assessment. The first level is the accused or stalker is going to get a written warning and a restraining order letting them know, hey, you cannot contact this person, you cannot be around them, don't even try it. Level 2 comes if they further stalk the victim, if they make further, not only to the victim, but her family, her friends, anyone in her circle as well, or his circle as well. And after that, once it gets to that point, you get taken into police custody. Now, level 3 comes when they have to physically detain this person for 1 month, when they make threats, when they violate the restraining order, and when they have no around them. So hopefully this makes things better. Yeah. They're also making plans to notify the victims of, hey, so your stalker's gonna get out on this date, to the victims, so they know to take up extra security, extra vigilancy, just to be looking around them more, because they know that their stalker is back out in the public, and they're gonna provide better, more adequate protection for these victims. And I really, really hope they do, because it's 2021 when this all happened, and it should not have taken that long for them to finally make stalking a crime, because up to that point, it was just a misdemeanor. And like I said, you would get like an $80, $85 fine for that. But yeah, I just want, again, I'm always talking about how safe South Korea is, and it really is. I've never felt like I was threatened or in danger. There were creeps. Every country has creeps. I'm not saying that Korea is more creepy or less creepy, because you deal with creeps everywhere you go. I never feared for my life. I've been in situations in the States or in the West where I was just kind of cautious, walking home with my bag clutched and my keys in my knuckles, things like that. But again, that's not to say do not just let your guard down. I remember my mentor teacher when I lived in Jeju, and it was a safe neighborhood. It was nothing like that, but she told me that since I live alone, She gave me the tip that I should put men's shoes outside of my apartment, so some potential future trespasser or stalker would think that I live with a man and not even try to come in. And the fact that women have to take these extra steps and precautions just to live our lives is so freaking annoying. And I know men can be stalked too, but in these situations, overwhelmingly, it's mostly women who fall victim to this. Be safe. There are new laws in place. Hopefully these start to help bring these incidents down, because last year was pretty bad. Yeah, so that's it. Thanks for watching if you did. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Annyeong.